Back to the ALG podcast. Guys, I am so happy to share with you that we finally did it. It is episode 100 of the ALG podcast, and we're just going to celebrate today. Like, it is a big air horns. Big air horns. Congratulations, David.
It's been crazy. Actually, what's the statistic? I think it's like 90% of podcasts fail to make it past just like 12 episodes.
Yeah, well, come hell or high water, we did it. Episode 100. A lot of people didn't think we would get there. Will Trotter, I'm literally speaking about you. And
Will would be like, technically, this is episode 99 and 100 at the same time, because depending on if you count episode 0 as episode 1 or episode 0 as episode 0, technically,
yep.
Will, being the numbers guy he is, would be the first one to tell you that.
Absolutely. So shout out to Will. And David, did you ever think that we would have 100 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is this: we're consistency guys. I think as much as anything, both of us as people, we've never been the goest hard type people.
Right.
We are the consistency wins out type people, and so obviously in the past we had our little hiatus and we took our break for a bit, and now we're back. And I think it's super important to know, like, this is a great opportunity to reflect on 100 episodes, and that's the main intention behind episode 100.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look back in the last couple years of doing this podcast and creating a lot of different values in different ways.
Right.
And John, looking back in the last 100 episodes, 99 episodes, what are some of the main things we have done that we need to continue doing?
I think that we've always done a really good job of bringing on guests that represent the weight loss community to its fullest potential. I think that we have always had guests that just come from every single walk of life. Like, it's not like we've had these heavy hitting influencers, on here all the time. I think that we do a really good job of just bringing on the common person who's just trying to drop the common man, just that old blue collar.
And just I respect that.
Yeah,
it's a balance. I think that's super important. Of one of the things we've done is, like, yes, it's important. Like, let's be honest, guys. There's no question, if you have a bigger social media following, there's more impact, which creates more engagement and leverage, which has its place. But John and I have been at this game long enough to know there's a lot of people that have big social media followings that are douchebags.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, complete assholes. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I think David and I have both said this many times on this podcast. Like, we try to go about this in the most regular way as possible, the most real life way as possible. I think that's why, you notice lapse of time that have happened between episodes when it comes to this podcast, because we are living a regular life. We're still on this journey per se. New chapters have obviously been written, and we're going and doing different things than maybe we had originally set out to do when we first created this podcast and we first created this platform. But I think we need to start bringing back on some people and have them sharing their stories again, because I think that really helped a lot of listeners, and I think the relatability helped people kind of follow through with a lot of their goals.
Well, yeah, and the big thing there to me too is, like, actually, I was on where did I hear this? Someone that I follow on I think it was Instagram. Someone I follow on Instagram put up a post talking about one of the most dangerous statements you can make is, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? Like, this idea that, like, at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, 25 years old, you have whatever you're doing for the rest of your life. Like, obviously there's fundamentals of, like, treating your body with respect and fitness and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's totally okay to go through a season of CrossFit. And then I'm going to go through a season of running. And then I'm going to go through a season of this type of nutrition. I'm going to go through a season of this type of way of eating. And like, I think it's super important to know from anyone, like, obviously our listening base and everything, it's okay to reflect and say, hey, is my current journey and the path I'm going down something I still want to continue, or do I want to make a pivot? Like we just did a pivot with this documentary and taking on a whole different chapter and challenge that was not in our wheelhouse at all.
Hell no.
And we just sent it from the hip, baby. Like obviously we had an incredible crew around us and stuff like that, but it was sent from the hip. We're just like, well, why not? If some of these documentaries can make it on TV, why can't ours? And so that whole thing kind of came about. So that's a big one that I love, going back to what you said, which is having people on that are authentic, transparent, real is super friggin' important. What's one of the biggest criticisms of the last 99 episodes that we need to work on going into our next chapter?
My criticisms towards the podcast?
Correct.
Damn.
I have mine, if you want me to say mine.
Well, I think mine would be more on the kind of like the presentation end of things rather than the structure of things. So for me, I think looking, let's say 6 months to a year down the line from, whenever this podcast airs, I would like to have a better presentation of just, how everything looks and feels. And I think personally that the podcast needs a little bit more pomp and circumstance when it comes to just the feel, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's what I would change. But other than that, maybe my co-host, but
like production, obviously, like this guy named David, he just always rambles on about science shit, and it's like, gosh, get it over with. Like,
get it over.
How much peer-reviewed literature can you freaking read and keep talking about over and over again?
Hydrogen
it's just
oxygen,
weight loss, guys. It's about stories. Who cares about science?
Fucking science, man.
No, I agree. The big one to me is the biggest criticism I have, which is something that John, you hit, like you have worked on in the background really well. We've kind of, it's kind of, I'm gonna bring this in there. It's kind of like church, where it's like, if every day you walk into church not knowing what's going to happen at like the sermon of what's going on, it gets really confusing. But if you know that the next 6 to 8 weeks is about this topic and we're diving in for an extended period of time to go into the depths, I think there's value in that. And so I know, John, you in the background have been working on creating more structure behind the podcast.
And I appreciate you saying that. So I think why that needs to be done. So when David and I first were discussing even creating this podcast, we wanted it to always come off as authentic as possible, right? Because again, we're just two regular dudes who kind of just lost weight and wanted to share that with the world and so on and so forth. So by doing that, we never wanted to come on here scripted, right? And then what would happen is we would either pre-plan just the topic of conversation and just leave it at that, or sometimes we would just plan a recording day, get behind the monitor and
just
have no idea what would come out, and that works for a little bit. But now when you get to episode 100, you're kind of like scrambling and you're like, well, what have I talked about before? Or, has my ideas of, something that we've talked about before kind of changed? So now what David and I have decided to do is kind of structure out all the topics for the rest of the year, or however long, the seasons are, because that's what we want to do. We want to create seasons out of this. It's not just going to be one long ass thing anymore.
100 episodes. Okay. Well, shit. Okay.
100 episodes of what? Yeah.
Of what? And we go from celebrating somebody that's had a transformation. The next episode we're talking shit about something, and the next episode,
and then it's a tragic story, and an underdog story, and it's just like all over the place. So we want to have a little bit more structure with that. So that's what we're going to work on. And and I'll be honest with you guys, I've come on this podcast before and I've said it, and I said it, to David off camera as well. Like, I suck when it comes to organizational skills, and it's something that I've been truly working on in my personal life and in my professional life to be better at and stronger at, because it is a weak point of mine. So it has been really good for me to be the one who's responsible for kind of planning this out and putting together some of the, most of the pieces when it comes to the podcast. So it's definitely going to be a new feel to it. It's gonna sound different. It's gonna be different, but it's gonna be just the same two guys who created it from the get-go, and just big things to come.
Now, kind of looking back in the last 100 episodes for you, any major any like out of any episode of person we've had on or topic we've talked about, what are some of the major ones you enjoy the most, and like what are something you want to see in the future?
Our next evolution in this podcast is definitely going to be having it to be more streamlined and season-based and way more organized, because I think when you look at this kind of as a whole, you know, I want the listener to be able to quickly pick out what they want to, you know, what kind of content, for lack of better words, they want to ingest and digest and kind of help them, and what is the tool that they need for their journey at that moment. You know, do they need to listen to a transformation story, or do they need to hear from something that happened within, you know, our journey, or maybe something that has to do with eating habits or whatever, you know? So it's definitely going to be way more organized. This podcast is going to forever be evolving, just like everything else that David and I have planned, and you know, everything.
No, I completely agree. That was actually that was one of the things I was watching from a different podcast and like learning from, and again, it's just perfection's a myth, guys. Just as you're going through your nutritional journey, it's like, all right, I did this strategy, I know this, and this, and it's like, hey, I didn't like this because of this and this reason, so I'm gonna pivot and kind of move in this direction, and I like this and don't like this. And one of the things I like about a season mentality is you can pivot a lot easier, and you can make a cleaner transition to new topics. Where I think that's one of the things we missed within the first 100 episodes was, in our head we were doing it
Right.
because it was like, all right, we have a story, and then we have a topic, and then we have a discussion, and then and there was a general flow to it, but at the same time, outside looking in, I'm sure plenty of people looked at it going, all right, this is just going everywhere. I'm so confused. What's the... And so I think with having seasons, we can create more of a system approach to things. And then it also makes pivots easier. Like, all right, we already know this, and we can make this transition, and so on and so forth. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. With thinking about the... Obviously, in the last 100 episodes, everyone we've had on, we've been grateful they've been here.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything that's been said, I love. Do you have any top people of the last 100 episodes you were like, I love this episode for X reason?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not a top episode for me because it was like necessarily a great episode or like something like that. But I think the fact of like that we've had so many great people on, right? Like David was saying before, and everyone has done such an amazing job of being transparent and vulnerable and sharing like the nitty gritty of their journey. And I think that we've had the pleasure of having people come on this podcast at maybe like the beginning of their journey and not expecting to be where they are now. So like for one that just jumps out to me is obviously Anthony, Having Modified. Excuse me. So that one, just like we had him literally.
Jay was the same way.
Yeah, Jay was the same way. You know what I mean? Like people like that, like you would never know. Like, and their whole lives has changed. You know, like Anthony has a huge platform now. Jay has a huge platform now. You know, and it's just cool to see because it's like there is a stepping stone there. Like they were on this podcast sharing things. And like they had no idea what was going to come.
Do you agree with me that, John, we are the good luck Chuck of the social media world?
Yeah, I think so. We've said that before. 100%.
I mean, I'm not.
I would never say it's our platform that's gotten anyone recognition or famous. I'm not saying that at all. But definitely the good luck Chuck mentality.
It seems like every time someone comes in contact with us, they just go viral after.
They go viral.
Not necessarily because of us.
No.
But it's just happened.
Yeah, it's never because of
the same timeline. And I'm like, yep.
Yep. Yep. It's just because we've graced them with our presence.
No,
but yeah, we are. We're the good luck Chuck of podcasts. So if you ever want to get famous.
Social media. Yeah. If you wanted to somehow be in right with the social media gods and go viral, you just got to be on our podcast because afterwards, for whatever reason,
it won't happen because of the podcast.
It's not the podcast itself. It's just because you were on the podcast that somehow it goes viral afterwards. I don't know. I don't know. It's just
it's happened. I don't know.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, give me some of the dream. The guests you want to have on.
Listen, I said it when we started this podcast because we did a similar segment on our first episode. Dwayne The Rock Johnson will be on this podcast.
100%. It'll happen.
100%.
It'll happen.
100%. Definitely want to have Lane on. Lane Norton.
Yep. 100% Lane. Yes.
Definitely Lane. And also, your good friend, Dr. Nadolski.
Yeah, Dr. Nadolski would be a fun one to have on, too.
Absolutely. What about for you?
Well, you just said, I mean, those are some of the base. I mean, who are?
Oh yeah, I mean those were basic. Who else do I want to have? I still want to have like Ethan Suplee on and stuff like that.
Oh, that would be so dope. Ethan Suplee would be super cool. I don't think it'll. Okay, no. Why am I saying that? Why? I want to flip the script. It'd be fun to have like Joe Rogan on our podcast.
Yeah, you and every other podcaster out there.
No. He's not. I'm not. We're not going into his.
No, I know.
On to ours.
Yeah.
Actually, did you listen to the podcast episode between Joe and Dwayne that came out a couple weeks ago?
I saw like the highlights and the bits and pieces of it. I got to be honest with you. I really like Joe Rogan. I like his platform. I've never watched or listened to a whole episode ever. I'm going to be so
it's 3 hours long.
They're 3 hours long, and I only watch the highlights. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a highlight guy. If there's a piece that goes viral, I've seen it. You know what I mean? But
no, I can totally see that. I mean, again, it's like trying to find that dynamic of like when you
I'm not a YouTube kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean that in the sense.
Now.
Well, yeah, but that's true that also. But when I say that, like, I know so many people, you included, who like will religiously watch things on YouTube, and I don't go on YouTube ever. Like, it's not even an app on my phone. You know what I mean? Like, I think it is actually like a pre-installed app. But yeah, like I don't go on YouTube. I don't look anything up on YouTube. I don't look for music on YouTube. Like, I don't know why. It's just so I don't watch these like long form podcasts really. I watched the only one that I've ever watched from beginning to end as of recent is the Cat Williams interview that came out right after New Year's. With
literally everyone watched that.
That was so good. That's what I want our podcast to be. That I want the same studio design, which is just Sharon Sharp's basement probably, and
literally I had the Cat Williams line. Your association to liars and losers is unbecoming of you.
Yes. Bro, he is just so eloquent and just.
That's funny.
I mean, I'm sure everyone has watched that episode, but if you haven't, do yourself the.
Actually, you know who I'd love to have on here because it'd be some. I'm gonna say it. C-Bum would be friggin' dope.
Oh, that would be dope. Yeah,
that'd be dope.
C-Bum. Cool.
But it's also interesting because we got to keep it focused towards obviously extreme weight loss and like transformation and all this kind of stuff. But I think again, you can still get so much value and like fitness, nutrition out of people from different walks of life. Because again, let's be honest here. One of the things that I've learned within the weight loss side of things is when you do hard shit and you transform your life, you can take that and pivot into every other walk of life. Absolutely. Like it's like you do something that was truly difficult and you didn't think was possible, and you make that shift and it opens up doors into, okay, if I've lost 200 pounds, I can start a business.
Yeah.
If I start a business, I can do this. If I came from like, if I was living in a dumpster eating out of trash cans and now I have a PhD in education, like whatever it may be, it's the same adversity type mentality, but people need to hear different stories and need to be able to emotionally connect with different people. Not everyone wants to hear from a kid that just says science and clinical research all the time.
I don't like that guy at all.
Well, what does the clinical research say?
Exactly.
No one cares, David. No one cares. I care.
You just want to get into arguments with fucking everyone.
That's carnivore bros? I fucking love it.
I think that all of a sudden, the kid who just doesn't like confrontation, all of a sudden you just really like confrontation.
Well, I've got to learn how to deal with it. So, like, there's no better way than get in confrontation with some social media diet zealots.
I agree. I definitely agree. So, what are some things that you don't want to repeat? Like,
don't want to repeat?
Yeah, like, just like we're never going to do that again.
Honestly, one of the things that I want to make sure we never have happen again is we lose our episodes in the tank. Like, consistency does have to be something we strive ourselves to be, because that's what we always talk about. And we did a really good job early on of having 4 or 5 episodes in the tank that we always were good no matter what our general lives put us in.
Right.
And then what happens is this is just like life and fitness too. You miss one workout, not a big deal. You miss one meal, not a big deal. You let it compound a little bit, you let it slide a little bit, and then all of a sudden you look back and, oh my gosh, it's been a year. What just happened?
Yep.
And so I'll be the first one to tell you guys, we're not perfect. We've done some pretty cool things, and we've made some pretty solid impacts in our lives.
Absolutely.
We are not perfect by any means. And one of the big things that I want to make sure we really strive to hold on to is keeping that buffer in the tank of having 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes that we know we're always ahead of the game. Because you and I both know we went through a phase there where, like, we were week to week. And now we're like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And you're like, oh no, we gotta figure it out. Let's go.
Absolutely, that's why it's structure. Yeah,
yeah. But we both have that struggle a little bit, and it's funny because I have such good structure in certain areas of my life, and then other areas of my life I have horrible structure.
Absolutely, and I think that's called being human.
Yep. And so that's a big one for me going forward as we evolve the podcast and do this kind of stuff, is really become consistent with having our content in place. Because content for us has always been kind of secondary,
right?
Because we have our social medias, we have this other kind of stuff, and like getting that kind of more consistent is be super important to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree, definitely.
Yeah.
On that.
What about you? One more criticism that we got to work on and developing on.
I think for us, it's the organization. Like, I think really the organization, the planning out things, knowing that it doesn't need to be scripted. What's up?
Big one to me is speaking to Billy on this, like, we need to hire out somebody that can do all of like the editing of clips and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as we go forward, having those 30-second, 60-second, 90-second great little clips so that everyone can kind of engage to. That's something that as we go through the evolution of like round 2 of this podcast and everything else, what's going on is like, all right, we need to have a system in place where someone can come in, take these 45-minute, hour-long episodes and get the nuggets out, get the meat and potato out so we can put it on our social medias and make things more clean. Because just like you, some people don't like to freaking watch like people talk for 45 minutes to an hour. I want the meat and potatoes. So we gotta create a system in place to really help that process.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yo, yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think what are some of the main. I'm just going. I'm not gonna lie. So I got to my right here. I'm looking at all of the last 100 episodes. I'm just gonna literally choose one and then tell me your thoughts on either the podcast or the person or anything we have going on here. Let's do. All right, let's do. Let's do Anthony. Anthony DeBay.
Yeah. One of my best friends.
How's he been doing?
He's doing good. I mean, I know that he's really getting back on the saddle when it comes to his weight loss journey. I know that he's been very transparent when it comes to his whole side of things, when it comes to Weight Watchers, and his struggles and stuff like that. He has the Keep Moving Forward pod, which is just a great podcast. So if you haven't listened to his podcast, definitely go like, share, and subscribe that one. But no, Anthony is probably one of the most down-to-earth people in the weight loss community. He has done some amazing things with his weight loss journey, and he just keeps up with the good fight, That's really,
I think it's super important to know. Like, it's again.
Listen,
like,
he's one of my favorite people because he's a really good advocate. Like in the sense of like, he gives great advice. He's very blunt like me. He keeps it real with his listeners. He keeps it real with his friends and his followers. And he'll be the first to tell you when he's falling off. And he'll be the first to tell you when he's fucking up and when he's making it right. And I think that's the best quality to have when following someone on a weight loss journey. Like when you're out there and you're looking for people to connect with and to kind of follow along with and kind of help guide you through with the things that you need, because that's how I look at social media and weight loss social media in general. Like, Anthony's a good guiding light. You don't need to be the bodybuilder. You know what I mean? And you don't need to be the guy who's already quote unquote finished with the journey. You know what I mean? Anthony's lost, a massive amount of weight and is still on this weight loss journey, and for a lot of us, they're in the same boat too. It's not streamlined. It's not all linear. Success is not linear. you know?
It's not sunshine and rainbows, guys. Like, I mean, we've like when push comes to shove, that was one of the things I was going through all of the episodes on, and I'm looking at some of the dynamics here and knowing that, like, you know, some of these people are still really in a great flow state, and some of the people we've had in the podcast, they're in a season of they're struggling, and like that's, I'll be the first one to tell you guys, like, even me, when I did my bulking up to 270 pounds, that was fluffy, and I look back at it now where I'm at currently in the dynamics I'm doing now, and I'm like, wow, like here's me who went from 400 plus down to 212, then floated up to 270 semi-intentionally. And then all of a sudden you come down and you get back to 270, and I look at pictures of what that bulk was like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't know I went that far, because like it can get away from you, and I think that's a super important understanding to make, is like this idea that every day, every week, and everything you're doing is just gonna be sunshine and rainbows and perfect. It's just not true.
Nope.
And another person I just saw on this list. He sends me TikTok all the time. Brett, yo.
Oh,
I love Brett.
Yeah,
What's the man?
Brett's in the middle of. He's a great example of. He went on weight loss medications recently, not too long ago, semi a while, but not too long, and he's down another. Last time we checked, it was like 60 or 80.
That's awesome.
Which means he's up to like 180 lost ish, pushing 2.
It's amazing.
It's been a little bit since I've asked last time he's where he's been at, but he first one to say, like, when he got on a GLP-1 and stuff and saying how much that helped him. That's the whole point to me. And actually, this is a tangent, and it's life, because that's how we kind of run. Did you see the Josh Peck video that went viral?
Yes.
What's your opinion on that? I just made a TikTok video on it.
I was
It's
gonna.
I don't know.
I took it a certain way at first, but
So I took it as, personally, again, this is the dynamic that you and I bring to the table, which is quote unquote natural versus weight loss surgery.
yeah, I wish
versus
he
this.
didn't use the word natural.
Yeah.
You know? Josh Peck holds a funny place in my heart, especially when it comes to the weight loss, because
Oh, 100%.
like when I was super heavy, I looked just like Josh Peck in Drake
Yep.
and Josh, like to a T. And like I used to get teased and get called, you know, Josh Peck. Anyway,
Yep.
so and then when he lost the weight, I was like, yes, there's hope, like whatever. And then yeah, and then he goes and uses the word naturally. And now I never knew like how he lost his weight. I have to be honest with you, I was always under the assumption it was actually weight loss surgery how he did it.
Yeah, I guess he didn't.
But I guess that he didn't, which
Yeah.
whether or not he did or didn't is neither here nor there at the end of the day. Like, he lost the weight, and that's amazing. That's congratulations, and, you know, all well wishes. But I don't know. It's just that stigma, like,
Yeah, you took the easy way out.
right.
That's the,
And like, here's the thing. To me, when someone comments on my stuff and goes, oh, well, you know, you didn't do it naturally. Okay. What do you define as an unnatural weight loss? Because to me, the only unnatural weight loss that I know of is just being bulimic and purging and fucking making yourself throw up. That to me is unnatural weight loss. You know what I mean? Like, you're depriving yourself of food and nutrients. I didn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I naturally lost 300 pounds. I naturally put myself, I mean, I was naturally in a caloric deficit. Like,
well, my angle is this. There's only one way to lose weight, and that's a calorie deficit.
right.
The only unnatural way, I would say, is liposuction.
Correct.
If you had liposuction, yeah, that's unnatural.
Right.
But weight loss surgery, weight loss medications, yeah, they help curb hunger to help you build a calorie deficit easier. That's true. But at the same time, it's like, at the end of the day, my whole thing is this. It's about health. And if any, this is a toxic trait that needs to, we're on a tangent, but this is how we live.
Yeah.
A toxic trait is comparing your life to somebody else's.
Correct.
And acting like anything someone else did affects you. It has nothing to do with you. Like, that's the crazy part to me, is like Josh, like I can talk about this to a lot of different people. Like there's plenty of people like Josh that have this belief that if someone loses the weight out with surgery or medications, that they didn't really struggle, so they don't really understand. And it's like, no, Yeah, they do. They were 400 pounds. They were 350 pounds.
Yeah.
Like,
It's disappointing to hear that. Has he
but
gone on a
again-
podcast and said this too?
no, it was just that little video.
That was it, right?
It's got like 10 million views on TikTok, and I don't know what it's got on Instagram and stuff, but
Yeah, it's a shame.
I mean, my whole thing, it's comparisonitis. It's like you can constantly, and this isn't just a fitness thing and a weight loss thing. This is life. Someone's always gonna be richer than you. Someone's always gonna be more good looking than you. Someone's gonna be always fitter than you. There's always gonna be someone that had it easier than you, harder than you, and comparing your life at all to anybody else's will just lead to frustration. Like, that's all it does. Like, it does nothing to actually benefit you and help you.
Absolutely.
So I just would just not take on that toxic trait of like, oh, if someone did weight loss surgery, because my whole thing is, again, the clinical research side of things. If you're 3 years post-op, 30 to 60% of people who get weight loss surgery gain a considerable amount of the weight back 3 years post-op. Okay?
Absolutely.
And so my whole thing is this. If you're inside 3 years inside of your weight loss surgery or you're on medications, you gotta be a little. You may not have not made that lifestyle change yet. You may have not made those food habit changes yet. You may not have made that shift yet. If you're 3 years post-op and you've been consistently maintaining what you've done, you did it regardless. And so it doesn't really matter. I will say in that first 36 months, you may want to warn someone, say, hey, just so you know, you may not be hungry now. It's probably going to come back.
Yeah. 100%.
So be ready. So like, make sure you're actually making the lifestyle habits of protein and whole foods and moderation and making the shift now, because it's probably going to come back.
Right.
And so that's true. But like, it's this whole idea of, once you're 3 years post-op or you're off the drugs or whatever, it doesn't freaking matter. You did it.
Right.
Like you did it. And so in comparison and just in general, it's just nasty. It's just not a good way to live life. It's just there's always somebody there's always someone with a bigger social media following than you. God,
Absolutely.
I mean, from the Instagram side of things, you would think with how consistently we've been giving value in the last 7 to 10 years on social media with weight loss and fitness, you would think each of us would have 1 million followers with a cult following. We don't. Is that big? Like, are we still aspiring and being consistent? Absolutely. Do I get super frustrated at Anthony or Jarrett or Jay or whoever on, oh my gosh, look at them going viral and I haven't? Like, no. Like, how that just sucks the quality of life out of everything you do.
Well, yeah.
And it's just
Because it's a weight loss journey. It's not a get famous journey.
Yeah.
And if that's what it is for you, then whatever. But
be careful.
Yeah.
Because good luck. It's a crapshoot.
Absolutely.
I know people that have incredible stories that don't have any followers.
Yep.
And then you got people that go viral and they're assholes.
Yep.
And they're fake. And it's just a constant revolving door. But yeah, so wrapping up the kind of looking back at the last 100 episodes, what are the last little thoughts and tips and tricks you want to kind of do? Are there any Easter egg ideas? I'm trying to think of what's some. I know you had talked in the past about doing more episodes in person.
Yeah.
I just think it's gonna be so hard. It's just legit. It's just a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, we have to. That's something that we're gonna have to logistically figure out on the back end. But I mean,
it's fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll have a private jet someday, and we'll just kind of do it from the air. I could see that.
And just fly circles.
And we make sure that our private jet has extended seatbelts built in.
Exactly. All right, so 100 episodes behind us, 100 episodes more to come. Any last thoughts of what the last 100 episodes are going to look like?
I'm looking forward to again, my biggest thing is when we get into episodes. I think it'll be super fun seasons because each season we're gonna have strength and weaknesses on, and there's gonna be seasons where it's gonna be your baby because this topic this season is like something you are just engulfed in,
right?
And then there's gonna be seasons where this is my passion, and knowing that we can have different seasons on different topics of our passions within what we're doing, I think can create the opportunity for some really creative and fun partnerships and opportunities and connecting with people and different dynamics. Honestly, I'd say one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is like being able to create that structure.
Absolutely. I agree. So I think that that's a really good place to kind of put a pin in this episode. I want to thank everybody for listening for the past 100 episodes. And I hope that you are ready to evolve with us as we pivot into the next chapter of what the show will be. And
I'm actually to add one thing to that too. If you've watched this whole episode, you're here right now, either DM us individually or comment on the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. What types of value and what types of structure would you guys like to see in the coming future of the podcast? Like, do you have episode or season ideas? Do you have people that you'd like to see on the show? Whatever you'd like to see. We're always about getting constructive criticism. So if you have anything, like obviously if you have our numbers, text us, comment to us, whatever you need to do. We'd love to get your criticisms.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. I'm not going to end it the way that I used to end it. I think there's going to be a new ending. So this isn't goodbye. It's see you later.
Happy hunting.